dump the Cliff Lee contract because he's owed so much money. And remember, Cliff Lee is 34 years old at the end of this month. One general manager said to me, when you sign a player to a 6-year deal, you're hoping for 2 peak years, 2 good years, and then you look for the regression. You now have 4 years left, perhaps at $102.5 million, or if his 4th year doesn't vest, 3 years at $87.5 million, Carl.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, and you hope in those regression years, other young players are sort of surrounding him, and you don't necessarily notice such a great regression. You don't have to be put on waivers. So the Phillies are dangling that out there for a reason, all right?
Yeah.
They pulled him back. What do you make of it?
Well, I think they dangled him out there. He's going to take the bait and take this whole deal. And apparently, they tried to work out a deal with the Dodgers, like Buster said, and they couldn't get the financials worked out with it, too. Because, if you're going to dump a guy's salary like that, if it's called a dump, I mean, he's still a good pitcher, in my opinion. But if you're going to dump a salary like that, you're going to have to eat some of that money yourself. I don't know how much the Phillies were willing to eat. And if you're going to eat most of it, you might as well keep him because you're not going to find anything better out on the market coming in now that Greinke's with the Angels and they already signed Cole Hamels. So I don't know what's better for them right now. They do need a lot of help, though. And that would have cleared up a lot of money to get the help they need. They need outfielders. They need a third baseman. They need a new bullpen. So, they must have the money. So if they didn't have the money, then sure they would have gotten rid of it.
I think that raises the question, if they have the money. If they have the money, then you keep them. I mean, they're still a dominant trio over there. I mean, Cliff Lee right now might be struggling, but you can still look at that ERA. With a 3.79 ERA, it's very respectable. You just have the run support, which is what the Phillies have really been struggling this entire year. But I'll tell you, next year, if he's feeling good and everybody's healthy, you got Halladay still, you got Hamels, and you got Lee, I guarantee there's not a general manager in baseball that wouldn't want those three at the top of the rotation.
Delicate situation, because if you cry poor, like we can't afford X, Y, and Z, well, you've had the opportunity to move a lot of money here, $87.5 million. It does suggest they have.
I think this offseason is going to be the biggest offseason in Phillies in the last 10 years because if you didn't get rid of Cliff Lee, if you don't trade him this winter, and you keep the 3 pitchers making over $20 million, you're not going to be able to trade Howard. You're not going to be able to trade Utley. Guys making a lot of money. And if they can't go out and sign a couple outfielders and a third baseman, or make a trade with minor league prospects to get some major league ready guys, now you're going to understand that this is all the Phillies can afford. If they can't afford it all, and they can go out and get more pieces. Hey, good luck to them.
Right, and then they have the dominant pitching, assuming, as you say, Lee returns to some form. 3.79, not a bad ERA at all. On our game, Brewers-Cardinals, Milwaukee begins today, 10 under 500. But St. Louis is very much sniffing around that wild card race, just 2.5 behind Atlanta and Pittsburgh when the day begins. As Ricky Weeks takes his hack in the cage, we take a look at the lineup, and you could certainly argue that Ryan Braun, Andrew McCutchen, Matt Holliday, Matt Kemp, very much at the forefront of the MVP discussion. His numbers right now as good in many categories as they were last year, and a lot of people thought he should have won last year. Right? Yeah. I mean, he's doing the same thing all over again, in some cases even better.
Yeah, and it's going to be surprising if he doesn't win the MVP, but it's going to be surprising if he does because that team is terrible and they're not playing well. Look, I had him picked to go to the World Series even without Prince, which tells you about my predictions. But there's nothing with the bat in his hand that he can't do. He's going to hit for that high average because he can go the other way, Nomar. And when you make a mistake, it's a home run, and that's why he is one of the top 2 or 3 players in baseball right now.
Well, I think it's more impressive because he doesn't have fielder behind him or supporting him within that lineup, whether it's in front or behind, wherever you want to put him, and to still be constantly putting up those numbers and doing and feeling the weight, that offense on your shoulders. He's still carrying them, and that's very impressive. I mean, and this is exactly why on breaking balls, these are all breaking balls. He allows that ball to travel within his hands. This is what makes him so good. And he finishes that swing and he drives the ball. Here's another angle that what he does. Now look at the swing path of that ball. It stays through the zone, which allows him that even if he's cooled or he's out in front, he still has enough behind it to drive the ball. And this one is perfect. When he makes contact in the middle of his body, he's still finishing his swing and drive. He doesn't come off of it and just make contact. He doesn't swing to hit the ball. He swings to drive the ball. And even on breaking balls, which you've seen a lot more of this year because he doesn't have fielders surrounding him, he's making the adjustment. He's still driving the ball the other way. He's not pulling off because when a guy has to carry the offense